Joe Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
If they got a divorce, what's the big deal?
Nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing.
So if they got a divorce and it didn't work out, Michelle's doing a podcast. I saw the numbers yesterday. Their episodes keep getting fewer and fewer views, according to
You want me to tell you the numbers,
If
Matt?
you have it, yeah,
So
sure.
the new podcast continues to tank. The viewership is down over 75% compared to her first episode. Her viewership has been dropping since her show on March 12th. So it went from episode 1, 335,000. Episode 2, 194,000. Episode 3, it jumped back up. Episode 5, 141. Episode 6, 63,000 views.
Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David just tore through the polished facade of Michelle Obama with brutal precision and hilarious insight, exposing the carefully curated image behind America's favorite motivational voice. From empty speeches to multi-million-dollar branding, they dismantle her legacy as a product of hype, not substance. No soft lighting or scripted soundbite could shield her from this takedown. It's raw, relentless, and refreshingly honest. Michelle's carefully managed reputation may never look the same after this scorching roast.
Doing a podcast from a standpoint of, you guys know who I am. We're going to do good because I'm Michelle Obama. But let me tell you what I think she's trying to do. And again, pure speculation, folks. I may be fully wrong here. I think she's taking a page out of Jada Pinkett's playbook. Because I think they're getting ready to announce that something's going on in the...
Joe Rogan kicked off the roast with the kind of grin that warned you something gloriously unfiltered was about to go down. He leaned in, eyes wide, hands gesturing like a man trying to describe a UFO sighting mixed with a failed workout class. His target, Michelle Obama. And he wasn't warming up slowly.
Or the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay, we all know it. So what year was that, Jamie, that she said that?
To Joe, Michelle Obama wasn't just a former first lady. She was a walking TED Talk wrapped in motivational gym slogans. The media had spent years presenting her as some untouchable force of inspiration, but Joe wasn't buying the hype. He dove in with the energy of a guy who just discovered kale was a scam. And in Joe's world, Michelle was the ultimate kale. Overrated, overhyped, and aggressively marketed as essential for your health, while quietly tasting like regret.
At the numbers here, you got roughly 100 million followers. Imagine having 100 million followers and you sold your book and it was record breaking a few years ago when she sold her book. I don't know what the number was. How many copies did Michelle Obama's book sell? I don't know what the number is, but I heard it was record breaking. Okay, 17 million copies was sold worldwide in 28.
If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Joe started with the endless Let's Move campaign. To him, watching Michelle champion fitness while kids stared dead-eyed at celery sticks was the definition of comedy. It was as if someone thought you could turn a cafeteria full of sugar-addicted 10-year-olds into triathletes with a pep talk and a carrot. Joe riffed on the irony of banning soda, while the country was guzzling triple-shot espresso lattes by the gallon. The whole campaign felt like trying to teach a dog to meditate, noble in theory, ridiculous in execution.
Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
Was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's the man.
Like,
remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plans.
And then came the obsession with school lunches. Joe exploded with laughter at the idea that Michelle's big legacy might be convincing kids that quinoa was delicious. He joked that the only thing those kids learned was how to smuggle pizza into classrooms like it was contraband. To him, her food reform was the kind of half-baked plan you'd expect from someone who spent more time with consultants than with actual chefs.
And type in and go to their podcast. The IMO Michelle Obama. There you go. Okay, watch this, folks. They've uploaded so far 4 clips. Okay, they've uploaded so far 4 clips. Can you go to the channel right there? So zoom in a little bit. 4 videos have been uploaded. They've done 1 episode, and they have 17,700 subscribers. Let me kind of give you some perspective on what that means, Rob. Rob, can you go to one of the episodes? And go to that one right there, okay? So 47,000 views is what it's got. Let's go to the comment section to see what the comments are saying. Man. Have they left it open or no?
Yeah.
Okay, zoom in a little bit, Rob. Remember when this guy drowned his chef in a lover's... Okay, wow, that's...
Okay. He poked fun at the way she was packaged as a mix of elegance, strength, and moral clarity. But in Joe's take, she was America's most famous motivational speaker, with 0 original material. Everything sounded like it had been written by a committee of Instagram influencers trapped in a Whole Foods. Then he got serious. Well, as serious as Joe Rogan gets. He questioned how someone so deeply entrenched in the political machine could sell herself as an outsider. Michelle spent 8 years in the White House, was married to a sitting president, surrounded by power, and yet, post-White House, she was branding herself like she had just walked off a factory floor. Joe found that amusing. It was like a billionaire trying to start a podcast about surviving minimum wage. He took shots at the endless books, the Netflix deals, the documentaries, all orbiting one central message. Michelle had thoughts, and you should hear them. Joe wasn't impressed. To him, if you had to pay that many publicists to convince people you were authentic, you probably weren't. The cherry on top? The Michelle Obama icon status. Joe questioned how someone with a curated persona, corporate deals, and a staff of stylists still got described as relatable. He joked that the only thing Michelle had in common with the average American woman was oxygen. Everything else, her platform, her exposure, her posturing, was manufactured like a luxury brand trying to sell $90
COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon.
Then it was Patrick Bet-David's turn. And where Joe relied on energy and mockery, Patrick went full analyst mode. He didn't crack jokes. He broke down Michelle's entire public career like a business model. In Patrick's world, Michelle was a brand, slick, calculated, and built with the precision of a Fortune 500 marketing team. Patrick started by dissecting the rise of Michelle's public image. He saw the transformation from First Lady to cultural messiah as less organic and more like a multi-step corporate launch. From speeches to books to the Netflix empire, everything Michelle did, in Patrick's view, followed a brand strategy so tight you could practically see the wireframe behind it. And to him, that was the real joke. America had turned into such a marketing-susceptible society that a polished PR machine could pass as authenticity. He then targeted the post, White House narrative. Michelle was now the voice of women, empowerment, and resilience. But Patrick raised the uncomfortable question, empowerment from what? Resilience against what? She wasn't exactly clawing her way through hardship in a basement apartment. She lived in million-dollar homes, flew private, and had brand deals waiting like appetizers. Yet the media painted her as if she were single-handedly surviving the apocalypse, with nothing but a diary and a dream.
Balls off to get here. I don't know what that is about. Joan Rivers was right.
Hello.
Barely 16,000 views. Okay, so now here's what I want to do.
Jeez.
Rob, could you go and do me a favor and go to all her social media profiles to count how many followers she has? So go on X, go on Instagram. This is the best way to do it. There you go. One by one. Let's just put up all of them. So watch this. Instagram. I want you to count this, folks. Instagram is how many followers? 57 million followers.
Yes. Then Patrick hit the legacy issue. The media loved to compare Michelle to historic figures of change, but Patrick pointed out the awkward truth. No legislation, no policy shift, no major achievement. Her legacy was speeches, words, ideas floating through the cultural ether without any concrete footprint. And yet, she was hailed as a revolutionary. Patrick found that not just laughable, but dangerous. A society that confuses image with impact is bound to fall for anything with good lighting. He ridiculed the endless comparisons to trailblazers, as if hosting a podcast and releasing curated Spotify playlists somehow put Michelle in the same league as people who faced fire hoses and prison sentences for real activism. To Patrick, Michelle was less Rosa Parks and more Oprah-lite, with fewer opinions and better dresses. And then came the big swing. Patrick tore into Michelle's constant position as the moral compass of America. In his view, you don't get to be the conscience of the country while avoiding every hard question. He pointed out how Michelle had mastered the art of saying nothing in the most elegant way possible. Every statement was a vague call to kindness, unity, or believing in yourself, empty enough to offend no one, and specific enough to earn standing ovations from people who mistake mood lighting for substance. Then he hit the family brand. To Patrick, the Obamas were the political version of the Kardashians, just with Ivy League polish. He dissected how their image had been monetized post-presidency with the kind of hustle you'd expect from a startup. Books, shows, appearances. It wasn't about politics anymore. It was about profitability. And Michelle? She was the lead product, an inspiration for sale, wrapped in designer dresses and pre-approved sound bites.
Out on this.
J-Mo.
We have to have done Big Mike before.
I don't think we did
I don't
Big
know
Mike.
if we did. Tim Dillon definitely did.
We did Big Mike with Tim.
That Tim Dillon's video where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her cock out and China would just give up. I was fucking wheezing.
Then he turned to her stance on politics. Michelle constantly played the card of being above the fray, uninterested in running for office, just here to inspire. But Patrick called it what he thought it really was: strategic ambiguity. Stay vague enough. Stay out of the mess. Keep everyone begging for more. It wasn't leadership. It was marketing brilliance, posing as modesty. He concluded by saying Michelle Obama's greatest trick wasn't convincing America that she was strong. It was convincing America that she was different. Different from the elite circles she quietly thrived in. Different from the bureaucracy she supported. Different from the status quo she benefited from. But in truth, Patrick argued, she was the status quo, just wrapped in better packaging, with a Spotify playlist to match. And just like that, both Joe and Patrick had taken a cultural symbol and ripped off the label. What was left? A hyper-curated brand, fueled by media adoration, unchallenged assumptions, and a society so hungry for heroes, it will settle for influencers with book deals. But it wasn't over. The roast had just begun. Joe Rogan came right back in, like a freight train of disbelief, riding high on the absurdity of it all. He wasn't done. Not even close.
Want to know? 0.003% went to want to subscribe to our channel. Did you understand what number I just said right now? To say they've lost their influence and their sizzle of what the Obamas used to be would be an understatement. You get 17,000 subs. Vinny's Vitamin Comedy just crossed 300,000 subs. Unusual Suspect just crossed 100,000 subs. 17,000 subs.
You want to know? 0.3%. Did you get that number? Patrick asked. 0.3% went to subscribe to her channel. Did you understand what I just said? To say they've lost their influence and the sizzle of what the Obamas used to be would be an understatement. 17,000 subs. Vinny's Vietnam Comedy just crossed 300,000. Unusual Suspect just crossed 400,000. And Michelle? 17,000. To him, Michelle Obama wasn't just a cultural brand. She was the ultimate master of the say everything mean nothing game. Joe couldn't let that slide. This towering figure of empowerment somehow managed to talk for hours without saying anything risky, raw, or even remotely controversial. It was like watching a motivational speaker at a tech conference. Lots of enthusiasm, zero depth. He mocked how Michelle could turn the most basic platitude into a headline. Things like, be nice or work hard, would echo across the media landscape like she had just rewritten the Constitution. It drove him crazy. He joked that if Michelle ever wrote a cookbook, it would be filled with quotes like, believe in yourself, instead of actual recipes. The kind of book where you're still hungry afterward, emotionally and literally. And then Joe pounced on the podcast appearances. Every time Michelle sat down for one of those highly produced interviews, he said it felt more like an audition reel for sainthood than a real conversation. He laughed at how they always came with soft lighting, planned arrangements, and piano music that made you feel like you were at a luxury spa, rather than being challenged intellectually. It was all packaging, no punch. Michelle talked about struggles the same way a celebrity chef complains about jet lag between book tours. Joe pointed out how the entire media complex treated Michelle like she was untouchable. You couldn't even raise an eyebrow without being accused of treason against modern virtue. And that's what annoyed him most. How immune she was to criticism. In a world where comedians get canceled for sneezing wrong, Michelle floated above it all, like a cultural deity whose only job was to deliver vague encouragement while cashing multi-million-dollar checks.
Why don't we Google Big Mike? Who is Big Mike?
Tell me.
No, let's Google it.
Mike
Just Google it. 'Cause maybe
Mike
we don't,
Obama?
Let's
Is
not
that
get
it?
this.
Is it Mike Obama?
Let's not get this wrong.
Okay. Oh, no, I've heard of it.
Let's not get this wrong.
The whole thing's wrong.
Let's just Google who is Big Mike and see what the results
See what
are.
the internet says.
Who are you inspiring with that message you're giving? Think about another younger African-American girl that's listening to this. Do you think you inspired her to want to be a first lady? What do you think you did? Do you think that motivates another girl that's watching this saying, I want to grow up to be like Michelle Obama, my hero? Oh, let me hear to see what she has to say about being a first lady. I bet she says it was the greatest honor. Oh no, in the back of her mind, she wishes he wouldn't have won because it was so expensive.
Meanwhile, Patrick Bet-David returned like a forensic accountant of public personas. He picked up right where Joe left off, diving even deeper into the machinery behind Michelle's carefully crafted public image. Patrick went straight for the jugular, the myth of authenticity. To him, the idea that Michelle Obama represented realness was one of the greatest sleights of hand in modern American history. He laid it out simply. If you need a production team, a PR firm, a wardrobe stylist, and a lighting consultant to share your truth, then maybe it's not that true. He compared her public appearances to a product launch, perfectly timed, immaculately edited, and deliberately hollow. According to Patrick, Michelle had mastered the art of saying just enough to earn applause, but never enough to risk being disliked. That wasn't bravery. That was strategy. And in Patrick's world, strategy without truth equals manipulation. Then he went in on the selective outrage. Michelle had a habit, he said, of reacting loudly to safe issues, topics that already had 90% public approval, where there was no real risk, no real challenge. It was performative concern, calculated compassion, a brand speaking to its demographic, not a leader speaking truth to power. Interview. He joked that she'd get worked up over puppies needing homes, but go radio silent when school systems in major cities collapsed under the weight of bad policies. Where was the fire then? Where was the leadership? According to Patrick, Michelle was only vocal when it was convenient, when the risk was low.